So if Home Alone was a real story, this would be it. And it ain't pretty. Rocks is brought to us by director Sarah Gavran and stars Buki Bakray as Rocks. We follow Shala, known as Rocks by her friends, a young girl living in Britain. Rocks is a normal teen. She has a brother and family, she goes to school, she does teenage girl things. She makes dumb little videos on like Instagram and TikTok. She sits around and does like all her friends' makeup and is known as being really good at doing people's makeup and hair and things, and hangs out with her friends and does young teenage stuff. She's more or less a normal kid. Oh yeah, and she also has to take care of herself and her little brother when their mother abandons them. Did I leave that part out? And that is the crux of this story. One day, Rocks and her brother come home to find a letter saying that her mother has abandoned them. She does say that she'll come back eventually, and we're led to believe that this has happened before. But this isn't like I'll be back later tonight. This is I'm gone for some days, weeks, or months. She's left with a wad of cash, a note, and a peace, love, chicken grease, I'm out this piece. Her mother claims that, hey, I just need to clear my head, so, I need you to take care of things while I'm gone. Now, I don't recall the movie saying exactly how old Rocks is, but we get the feeling that she's in that 13, 14, 15-year-old range. So clearly not up to the task of taking care of her younger brother and herself alone. But that's where she's at, so she tries to make the best of the situation. And as you can guess, that becomes increasingly difficult when the money runs out, they turn the power off, and DCS comes a-calling. So Rocks and her little brother find themselves on the street, just going from place to place of people that they know, just trying to find somewhere to sleep for the night. She's forced to make some tough decisions that she typically wouldn't do. She's faced with very adult issues and problems that a child just shouldn't have to. All along trying to be the best that she can be for herself and her little brother. Rocks is an interesting movie. When I made the joke in the beginning about it being a more realistic take on Home Alone, I didn't mean so much like the robbers coming in and trying to get Kevin McAllister. I meant the part about being left home alone all by yourself by your parents. That aspect of it is what this movie is. How would that really play out if you were left at home all alone as a child for an extended period of time? And that is something that this movie does very well. It shows you how that would go down and how things would spiral out of control very quickly. This movie is listed as a comedy drama, but there's a lot less comedy in it than there is drama. Honestly, I don't know who the fuck thought this was a comedy, because it's just not at all. Are there some things that some of the characters say that are funny in the moment? Sure, but that doesn't make it a fucking comedy. No, this is straight up drama. And that drama is one of the things that I really liked about this movie that was done very well. This isn't cheap drama that's setting you up for the gut punch. It's not constantly doing a setup to get you to cry your eyes out at some point. It just presents the facts. It shows you the situation and how it would work out in all its ugly detail. Now, there are some very difficult moments in this movie, two in particular, both closer to the end, but it never felt cheap. I feel like the emotional reaction that you will have to the situation isn't just because they set it up that way. It's because you really do feel for these characters. These characters have been built up naturally so that when something bad happens to them, you truly do feel anguish for them. Even though you know that the situation that Rocks and her brother are in is a bad one, you want her to succeed. You don't want her to fail. You don't want them to get caught and be split up or something like that. You want them to triumph over this thing. But just keep in mind, as I said, this movie is a very realistic take on this type of situation. I did overall enjoy the story of Rocks. However, it does take a little bit of time to actually get going, and there is a bit of a lull about halfway through. And that lull does take a bit of time to get back up and moving. But once it does and things finally get rolling again, you're met with an extremely captivating story about these two youths. Overall, I did enjoy the story, but be warned, it is quite a bit of a slow starter. Now, as with most character dramas, the success of the story totally lies with the performances. And thankfully here, they did a fantastic job in that respect. All the performances in this film are brutally real and absolutely believable. Buki Bakray is wonderful as Rocks. You totally sympathize with this character, even when she's making bad decisions that you do understand why she's making them, but on the flip side, you just don't want her to because you know it's gonna lead her down the wrong road. But even then, you never dislike the character. You understand why she's doing the things she's doing. You know that she's between a rock and a hard place, and she's doing everything she can, and all of that is totally sold by Bakray's performance. But she's not the only one here. Her little brother, Emmanuel, played by D'Angelo Osei Kisidou, sorry little dude, I know I just totally butchered your name, is fantastic as well. I've got small children. I know how they act, and it's the little things that this kid does in this movie that absolutely sold it and made me think that is real. That is how kids act in these types of situations. The little things like being totally caught up about a toy or a frog or something like that when all these huge, big, world-ending things are going on around them. Or being mad at somebody in one moment and turning their back on them, and then like 5 minutes later just totally forgetting about it and moving the fuck on. And the random-ass responses you get to things. That's what this kid did great. And that's everybody in the film, kids and adults. The kids especially. This movie has a ton of kid actors in it, and the vast majority of the screen time is devoted to child actors. Now that could go really bad, but here they absolutely made it work beautifully. And one of the reasons I think that is because they actually consulted the kids on the screenplay. After looking into it, apparently while making the film, they sat down with all these kids and talked to them in depth about how would this conversation go? How would you guys respond to this? Realistically, how would this happen? And they integrated that into the screenplay, and what we got was one of the most realistic depictions I've seen of children in quite some time. I mean, at times, it's almost like they had a hidden camera on these kids just following them around and they didn't even know they were being recorded. They were acting very natural, just like kids do. It wasn't that fake, glossy kind of kid performance that we get from a lot of movies. And those very real performances made it all the more jarring when these kids are put in very real adult situations. Because even then, they still react to these situations as kids would, not like adults. This doesn't seem like an adult wrote a child part. That's what we get from a lot of movies that have kids in them. They're kids that aren't really acting like kids. But here, they absolutely are. And all the performances in Rocks, children or not, are all fantastic. The movie looks really nice too. Gavron's direction here is on point. They take some risks with some really creative angles, shots, and editing, but it's never anything too out there like you could get with some movies like this. Sometimes directors could get a bit self-indulgent and start taking their art house movie way too far into art house territory. But not here. There are some risks taken here or there, but it's never anything too out there that's going to alienate its audience. Overall, it's a well-directed, interesting movie that keeps your attention story-wise and visually. Now, there is one part about this movie I think is going to be very divisive for the viewer, and that's the ending. Now, I'm not going to spoil it here, but I will say that I feel like this ending is going to be very love it or hate it. On the one hand, you're going to have those that say the ending of this movie is very bold and realistic, and one that shows the ultimate growth and maturity of our main character. But on the other hand, you're going to have those that are like, wait, what? Where's the rest? That's it? Are you fucking kidding me? I just wasted all this fucking time for that? What the fuck? That was fucking stupid. Me, myself, I'm somewhere in the middle. I do lean a bit more to the positive side of the ending, but if someone is let down by it, I totally understand that as well. While I get that positive side of the ending, and I totally see that, and I like where they're going with it, it was missing a little something to totally make it satisfying. I am satisfied by the actual growth of one of the characters in the film, but I just felt like I needed just a little bit something else to set it over the top. For me, it wasn't a deal breaker, but it is going to be very divisive for some. Guys, at the end of the day, Rocks was a pretty good movie. I can't really say that it was a really good time because there are some really tough moments in this film, but it was a very well-made film that I found the story to be very intriguing once it got started. And while that really slow start is going to be off-putting to some, they would be missing some fantastic performances and some of the most realistic portrayals of children that I've seen on film in quite some time. For the most part, it's a well-made movie all around, and if they had tightened up that beginning part just a bit, it would have had a higher rating, but as it stands, Rocks is absolutely worth streaming.
Across the street.
This isn't going to be a movie that's for everybody. It's not even going to be a movie that's for every night. This is the kind of movie that you got to be in a certain kind of headspace to watch, because once you get into the crux of the story, it does have some pretty difficult parts to see. But if you're in the mood one night for a very realistic drama, check out Rocks, and I don't think you'll be disappointed. You might be a bit depressed, but you won't be disappointed. So there it is, guys, my review of Rocks. If you enjoyed and want more content like this, hit that subscribe button and help my little channel grow. If you liked what I had to say, give me a like. If not, let me know in the comments below why. And as always, stay sexy, Yorkshire.
Close your eyes. Think of everything that is happy and stop thinking about all your worries.
As I said, the child performances in this film are very realistic. And while everybody did a great job with that, one of the ones that stood out totally for me was the little brother, Emmanuel. He does that thing that little kids do where they just make you feel really fucking stupid. Parents of little kids will know exactly what I'm talking about. Like, you'll be saying something to them, and what you're saying makes total sense, but they'll just stare at you with this blank look that makes you feel really fucking dumb for some reason. Like, you'll just be sitting there talking to a little kid and be like, and that's why this thing is like it is, because of that. Why are you looking at me like that? I mean, do you get it? Are you listening? Like, really, I need you to stop. Are you going to say something? What's going on here? Are you hearing me? Do you get what I'm saying? I need you to say something. Can you respond? What is going on here? What are you doing? Why are you looking at me like that? Just stop. Stop! Oh my God. What Jesus Christ.